Okay, everybody, we're going to be going live here in a minute. So just bear with me. We got to make sure we get everything set up. Just bear with me. Okay, we're going to get everything set up. And there are too many groups. Too many groups. All right, one more to go, and then we're going to get the show underway. Too many groups. All right, I think we're ready to go. Let's roll intro. Hey, good morning, everybody, and thanks for hanging out upstairs with us. This is Patrick, good old PDubs. Appreciate you hanging out upstairs in the Loft Report. We're doing a live episode or a live podcast recording for your commutes into work today at your number 2 source for arcade news. And we got some news for you guys. We're going to run through some updates, and we're going to talk about some news in the arcade world. We're going to talk about some special deals you can find, and we're going to, excuse me, I'm trying to get this coffee in me. It's 6 o'clock a.m., January 15th, 2020. And just to give you guys a heads up here, we've migrated our podcast from Anchor over to Spreaker. So what's great is if you're listening to the podcast live right now, you could actually even join in on the chat. All you have to do is click the link where you discover the podcast. Right now the podcast is live on my Twitter page at PDubs Arcade Loft. It's also live on my Facebook page, which is just facebook.com PDubs Arcade Loft. We are also live on the Facebook fan group pages for Toy Shock, AtGames, and Arcade 1-Up. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is episode number 3. And got to get this coffee in me so we can get this fired away for you guys. So my apologies. If you're not familiar with the Loft Report Podcast, we are an arcade and gaming podcast, and we are broadcast on Spreaker, Anchor, Spotify, Google, Pocket Casts, Breaker, Overcast, Radio Public, whatever your favorite podcast listening platform is. All you have to do is search the Loft Report, and you will find us. Appreciate the support. Hope you follow it, and also hope you follow the YouTube channel, youtube.com/PDubsArcadeLoft. So now that we got the housekeeping items out of the way, let's kind of dive into some arcade and gaming news. I figure for starters we would talk about some console gaming real quick. Happy to confirm some release dates for you. We got some exciting games coming out here, which I don't know about you guys, but some of these games are going to keep me out of my arcade loft personally and back on the couch. So, for instance, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is going to be released actually in 2 days, January 17th, on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, as well as the PC. Very excited about that. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, that will be available on January 17th. As well as the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered. That's going to be available on the PlayStation 4 and Switch, and that will be available on January 23rd. So just about another little over a week, 8 days, and you'll be able to pick up your Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered. And then also, if you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts 3, the Remind downloadable content pack, it's a digital download only for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, that will also be available on January 23rd. And not only that, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which is for your PC and VR, that will be available on January 23rd as well. But taking a look at the console or PC games yet to be released in the next week, we got some good stuff coming out. Dragon Ball, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and The Walking Dead. Good titles, good stuff, and I'm sure you guys are going to be excited to see it. Now, when it comes to arcade products that are about to be released, the Burger Time cabinet from Arcade 1UP is available today. They announced it at CES. I highly recommend, if you're interested in that cabinet, to go to arcade1up.com, and you can pick up the Burger Time cabinet. They're selling it for $399. Shipping to the United States and Canada only. And of course, that cabinet will come with 4 games in one. You get your Burger Time, your Karate Champ, your Bad Dudes, your Caveman Ninja, original artwork, as well as the recreated side panels in the chef's hat shape, light up marquee, full color 17-inch display, coinless operation, obviously, matching riser. It's a pretty good package. And I saw that cabinet at CES in person. It was a cabinet I really had no intention on purchasing due to the fact that, those games, Burger Time and all that, I have 100 ways to play those games. However, the cabinet gives you such a, it'll help diversify our arcades, which is one reason why I really, really liked the Star Wars cabinet. Chewie, what'd you think about that Star Wars cabinet? You liked it, huh? Well, yeah, so the Burger Time cabinet, I really, really liked it when I saw it in person. And the fact that it's different, the fact that we're getting different shaped cabinets is pretty exciting.
I like those odds.
Yeah, I agree, Mandalorian. I like those odds as well. Anyway, guys, so moving along here. So the Burger Time cabinet is available. And also, if you're looking for some... what should I say? If you're looking for some savings, don't forget, if you're looking to modify your arcade cabinets or your countercades, partycades, all that kind of stuff, you could always reach out to arcadegraphics.com and check out what Tyler and the boys have on their website. That's graphics with an IX on the end of it. And in fact, if you place an order on arcadegraphics.com and use coupon code PDubs, you will save 20% off your entire order. So the fact that the holidays have passed us and the sales are kind of quiet right now for a lot of these aftermarket companies, you can still save 20% by using that coupon code. And also, Tulsa Arcades is booming right now. Very happy to see JC and his team just cranking out, having their best year ever in 2019. And let's help him have 2020 make it an even better year for Tulsa Arcades as well. And if you use coupon code PDubs at checkout with Tulsa Arcades, you will save 10% off select items. Now, those select items do include your light-up risers and also your bezels, monitor mounts, and monitor mount kits. We know we love putting our Dell monitors inside those Arcade 1UP machines, so you definitely want to check that out and save a few bucks. And what's really cool is JC has a lit up riser that he's released for the Burger Time cabinet, and he's shared it on a lot of the fan pages and things of that nature. So if you plan on getting the Burger Time cabinet and really want to set your cabinet apart compared to other folks who are going to be getting that limited release, definitely want to check out that light up riser on his website. So it's very, very exciting. So as we kind of move along here, we do have some stuff to talk about. The theme of this episode was, hey, are the arcade wars real? Is this a real thing? Now, I know I kind of started this little hype nugget the other day when well, not the other day, probably like a week or two ago. I was getting ready to go to CES, and I was like, I need a fun hook, a fun way to kind of say, hey, check out this video, plus also just my own fantasy imagination as to what's going on in the world of in-home arcades. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if these guys... And part of it, too, was the leak of the Star Wars pinball machine from Arcade 1-Up. When I saw that, I said, oh my goodness, that's kind of cool. Star Wars, Arcade Wars, it just kind of popped in my head. So the theme I was using for 2020 is Arcade Wars. I don't know if these companies are actually at war with each other, if you will. But then again, isn't that an old Japanese business motto? Business is war. And obviously, Arcade 1-Up has established themselves as the dominant force. And all these newcomers have now come in. And the question is are they going to be able to get a piece of the pie? And is there any potential in years to come for these companies to equal what Arcade 1-Up has done or even pass them? When you look at the situation today, it's kind of hard to say that, because Arcade 1-Up not only has solidified themselves as a brand name, and they've established a very, very loyal fan base, but not only that, they've managed to, now they're expanding their offerings even further with the additions of new products, which we'll dive into. But before we get to that, let's kind of talk about iiRcade. So iiRcade is a very, very interesting company. They were at CES as well, and their booth was actually right next door to the Arcade 1-Up booth. And I managed to walk through and check out what they had. And they do have some cool stuff, and they're these nifty little micro arcade recreation consoles. I don't actually own any yet personally, so full disclaimer. I just looked at the ones they had at CES, and I did enjoy what I was looking at. And I was excited too that at CES they announced that they are going to be releasing a product called the Super Retro Champ. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, because what it is it's a newest handheld console for your Super Nintendo, your Super Famicom, your Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive cartridges. So if you have any of those old cartridges laying around, but the system itself has crapped out on you because, geez, they're 30, 40 years old at this point, you can still now play your favorite handheld games in tabletop and TV mode. So the Super Retro Champ, I do have a few cartridges over the years because I no longer have like an operating Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega. I've kind of gotten rid of the cartridges as the years have gone by. But I still have a few left, and nothing beats the original, right? So you can emulate all you want, but you gotta love actually blowing the dust off the cartridge. And iiRcade is going to help us do that with the Super Retro Champ, and I can't wait to take a look at that. Recommend you go to myiarcade.com, and they have a link right on their homepage for everything they showed off at CES, and you will find that product. Also, they announced at CES that they have a Street Fighter II that is being released, a Street Fighter II micro mini arcade cabinet. And what's kind of cool is you can connect it with another friend's cabinet, and you can fight against each other while you're sitting there side by side. So I think that's kind of nifty. Everyone, it sounds like, is going to be trying to get into the connected experience, because I don't know about you guys, but my favorite part about I love going to the arcades growing up, but I really, really loved when I was at the arcades with my friends, and we both hop on those games and either play with each other or we would play against each other. And so the fact that AtGames, Arcade 1-Up, and even iiRcade is giving us that experience is really, really cool. And when we take a look at iiRcade is a brand new player entering the in-home market. A lot of you folks saw Retro Ralph and Cool Toy. They managed to get into their booth. I had an appointment to go to their booth, but unfortunately, due to a scheduling conflict, I could not get in there. So my apologies to Mr. Jong for missing our appointment. However, very, very interested, I should say, in the material that Retro Ralph and Cool Toys showed off. Highly recommend you check out their channels on YouTube and also hit that subscribe button for those guys. So what I can say is I'm interested in how this product operates, because basically it's an a la carte arcade machine. And yes, it is essentially a bar top that you can then, a bar top with a 17-inch screen or a 19-inch screen, which is the 17-inch is equivalent to the standard size screen on an arcade 1-up. And you can take that bar top and you can put it on top of a stand to turn it into an arcade machine, or you can just leave it as a bar top. And it's connected to your phone, and with their iiRcade application, you purchase and download games that will play on the system. I think as of today, it's so new that they only have a license for Double Dragon. However, apparently this system inside, the hardware inside, although we haven't seen it yet, is powerful enough to play some pretty powerful and modern games without any hiccups. So at this point, would I say it's a must-buy? I would say no, because it's still too early and we don't have enough information. However, despite the fact that the negative response we've seen online to the aesthetics and appearance of the cabinet, a lot of folks don't like the way it looks. It's something that I would say I'm interested in, as in interested in learning more before I make an informed decision and purchase. So that's pretty exciting. Now, when we talk about the arcade wars between AtGames, Toy Shock, and others, and keep in mind too, this also could pull in iiRcade as well as MyArcade, and we'll get to that in just a second. So AtGames, as you know, they won their lawsuits against Walgreens, as well as Bandai Namco, however you pronounce it. And not only did they win those lawsuits, they also obtained a Taito partnership and license. So we're going to see a whole bunch of classic Taito games. I think they got licensing for up to 50 games on their machines. And you know, AtGames is going to capitalize on that. I would assume, and keep in mind, disclaimer, I don't know. I'm assuming we'll probably see some Taito dongles with those games on them, the true arcade ROMs, which will definitely improve the quality of the dongles and the controller experience when you buy those flashback blasts from AtGames. And not only that, we're probably going to see those games end up on their AtGames Legends Ultimate. Now, whether or not they decide to make those ArcadeNet games or games you can just simply purchase and download onto the machine remains to be seen. Definitely stay tuned for more. If you, I recommend just hanging on their website, atgames.net. Excuse me. And we'll see what they decide to do with those Taito licenses. I myself am excited about it. I mean, I know there's a lot of us who can simply find every game we want online and play them for free. But keep in mind, not everybody does that. And there's a lot of folks out there who don't know how to, obtain legal software online. That's right, legal. So the average consumer, although we have a pretty large modding community, I'd swear we have a good 10,000 guys who are on all the fan pages, especially on Facebook. And we've built this wonderful arcade gaming community where we're all fans of all these companies. And a lot of us have learned from the best in the business, from Glenn's Retro Show, from ETA Prime, from Retro Ralph, from Cool Toy and others, even at the Tech Buzz. We've learned how to make a wonderful gaming community and information sharing experience. And we're having a lot of fun doing that. But keep in mind, we are just a pimple on the face of the arcade and gaming world, these fan pages or fan groups. So the average consumer out there, they're going to be excited about the ability to purchase games. They're going to be excited about the BYOG features and the ArcadeNet. And I have a feeling they are still going to end up being successful runs and successful sources of capital for AtGames moving forward. So very, very excited. And obviously AtGames was at CES, but they were at the Showstoppers event, but they kept things quiet. They released some new firmware. They've added a My Game Room update to their firmware. Well, actually, it's more of like it's in a beta test. But what's cool about that is, let's say you own an AtGames Legends Ultimate, but you do not own your own desktop gaming PC. So, because, if you want a really good one, guys, those are expensive, well over $1,000. But what's cool about that is, with the My Game Room feature, they give you access to get on and have your own virtual gaming PC out there in the cloud. So it's kind of hard to explain it over a podcast. So my apologies if it sounds confusing at all. However, what's great is you're able to access this virtual PC in the cloud, and it's your PC. It's what you're paying for with your ArcadeNet monthly subscription or yearly subscription. We haven't confirmed final pricing yet, as well as that $1 an hour BYOG feature. So you're paying to basically rent this virtual PC up there in the cloud that is a very, very powerful PC that can play the best of the best games. Highly recommend you join or take a look at the official AtGames fan page on Facebook. There have been a lot of great guys on there, #ThisIsTheWay, who have been playing really, really modern games on their arcade cabinet, virtual tennis and bowling and more modern fighting games, things like that. Stuff that some other systems or arcade machines can't handle without modding. So I think it's really cool for the consumer who can't afford or doesn't have a virtual a gaming PC. Now you can use their PC and still have access and play the kind of games you want to play. So I think that's a pretty good move by AtGames. And also, too, they didn't show off any new products. I will admit it. I made a prediction video, and my prediction was wrong. I was hoping to see a new arcade machine, or like a version 2 Legends Ultimate, or maybe a bar top or a cocktail table. Everybody wants AtGames to make a pinball table because of their connected technology. They would definitely be able to make a really, really sweet pinball table using that technology. However, I figured that's a long way off for them, if that even were to happen. But it was pretty cool to see that, they said, you know what, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this machine that we have out, because we only have the one product. We're going to make this the best machine it can be, and let's finish getting all the firmware and updates put in. And I'm pretty sure in a couple months, when the stocks are replenished, we're going to see some mass distribution and probably a mass marketing push by AtGames, getting their Legends Ultimate arcade machine in everybody's home so they can experience it. Because obviously there's probably only a few thousand of these machines out there in the world as of today, because they were just released in October. And they're sold out. Congratulations, AtGames, on selling out. And AtGames is definitely wanting to compete with Arcade 1-Up, especially with their marketing materials already. We've won up the competition and things of that nature. So maybe the arcade wars are real. I have a feeling, although AtGames was quiet at CES, we're probably going to see some pretty exciting stuff from them coming up in due time. Now, moving on to Toy Shock. Toy Shock, as you all know, was the first to market, which is a bold and brave step. Really, really excited to see a 3/4 scale pinball machine. I remember over the last 12 months, as I was collecting Arcade 1-Up after Arcade 1-Up machine and filling up my house, I'm like, man, it would be great if they made a pinball machine, or if somebody made a 3/4 scale pinball machine, because I do not want to have a full-size pinball machine in my home. They're too big, they're too heavy, and if it's a real mechanical pinball machine, they just cost too much money to maintain and take care of. So I'm all for a virtual pinball machine, but I also wanted it to be on the 3/4 scale size. Toy Shock kind of slipped in under the radar in November, posted their little "it's for sale" on Walmart.com. Hey, we got this little Gottlieb pinball machine for $400. And a lot of us jumped on it to check it out. And, I have one myself, and I enjoy playing it. And what I do appreciate from Toy Shock is they've responded in two ways. They've responded to their fans as well as they've responded to the market. Hashtag shots fired. And what I mean by that is on their original machine, a lot of fans complained about the color of the bezel. They didn't like it being silver. They complained about the plunger. And keep in mind, these were all items as well that I pointed out in my initial review when I unboxed it, is that the plunger was really small, and that although I love the fact that the bezel is metal, I didn't like the color either. And also the speakers, as well as, the speakers weren't the greatest, and some people didn't purchase it because they simply didn't like the artwork on the cabinet. They didn't want to have a haunted house themed pinball machine in their home. So in response to fans, that bezel's now black. We saw that at CES. They've put a new plunger in there. It definitely feels like a totally different plunger, as well as it's got a much larger plunger ball on it. Easier to grab, easier to use. And also we're seeing improvements in the speakers, as well as we're seeing improvements in the vinyl artwork or graphic choices you can get with the Toy Shock pinball machine once it becomes available, or once the new machines come out here in the next couple of months. You're going to see various skins. So they show those off at CES. Class of 1812, Bone Busters, Black Hole. The artwork on those looked really good, really well done in person. And also in response to fans who have voiced concern over the gameplay, because it feels like it's not running anywhere near 60 frames per second, which is what I believe Farsight Studios was hoping for when that machine was released. It's nice to see that the Farsight Studios is looking into that particular issue. And based upon my discussions with them at CES, we should have some answers, hopefully very, very soon here, as to what's causing flipper delay or lag in gameplay and why the game's not running at full speed. This definitely sounds like something they can get fixed. Now, here's the question is, once it gets fixed, what happens next? What happens to those who've purchased those machines and they have the lag or delay in them? What options do they have? So I would recommend staying tuned. Look forward to seeing Toy Shock happily announcing to everybody that, hey, the machines are now running full speed, and here's the solutions moving forward. Now, that's how they've responded to the fans. When it comes to responding to Arcade 1-Up, Arcade 1-Up made a big announcement, dropping the bombs on the arcade world, showing off their Star Wars and Attack from Mars pinball machines, and these machines are almost fully loaded with features. So Toy Shock definitely has a new pinball machine coming out later this year. They already had it in development even before Arcade 1-Up's announcement, and I have a feeling that new pinball machine that has all the enhanced features on it from Toy Shock, I have a feeling it might end up still hitting the market even before the Arcade 1-Up product is released, but don't quote me on that, full disclaimer, just based upon the fact that they already have a product on the market today. Their second wave product was already envisioned and is being developed. I have a feeling we might see those sooner than later. But either way, I'm pretty sure by third or fourth quarter, we're going to see both an Arcade 1-Up pinball machine as well as a Toy Shock pinball machine at Walmart. And responding to Arcade 1-Up, and part of this too is fan criticism, but it definitely seems more like responding to Arcade 1-Up. Their machine will have adjustable legs, it will have more games, it will have 2 screens, better speakers, the plunger, the bezels will be different. The prototype right now is a mix of silver and black. My personal opinion is I would be willing to pay more. Because of the shape of the cabinet, they do have room to fit a 27-inch screen in there. And if we can get those games running at full speed on a 27-inch screen, and maybe trim that bezel down to about an inch or a half inch on the sides. I think that machine would look really, really good. And a lot of the other features that Arcade 1-Up has on their machines, such as haptic feedback, accelerometer, and excuse me, things of that nature, concave buttons, I have a feeling we're going to end up seeing those on the next Toy Shock machine as well as potentially leaf switches on the inside. I would highly recommend they go that route as well. So Toy Shock, it definitely seems like they're here to actually compete. They came in marketing as a toy, but with Arcade 1-Up's recent announcements, it definitely seems like things are being taken a bit more seriously, and the improvements to their machines will be very, very exciting to watch. Now, let's talk about Arcade 1-Up, because it is early in the morning, and I do have to get ready and go to the office. Got to go to my day job, just like all of you. Arcade 1-Up is the king of the mountain right now. They are owning the 3/4 market space, and it's interesting to see that they're expanding into other territories. And this is why I preface and title this episode, "Are the Arcade Wars Real?" For instance, AtGames, as you know, one of their staple products is the dongles with the optional controller. And now Arcade 1-Up is going to be coming out with those, which they announced at CES. And you have to wonder, what was AtGames' reaction to seeing Arcade 1-Up now coming out with a product that is definitely going to be a serious competitor to theirs in regards to the quality of the product. I think this is actually a good thing for both Arcade 1-Up as well as AtGames, because AtGames, if they release dongles in the future, will definitely step up the quality and the games, i.e. like the Taito official arcade ROMs. Instead of console ports, we're probably going to see a little less Atari and a little more popular stuff, I should say. I know Atari's popular, but come on. Those Atari 2600 console ports, they're tough to play for modern gamers. And then also, they've really, really shrunk down Arcade 1-Up. They're those bar top or barcades or partycades. I mean, these suckers, when I saw them in person, are really, really small. And also, they did that to reduce costs. That way, we can pick those up for $100 or less. But if you take a look at it, the difference in size between the new barcade from Arcade 1-Up and that iiRcade, the mini arcade product from their what I would now call a competitor company, is not that different. The Arcade 1-Up machine is still going to be a little bit bigger, but obviously, if you had to choose between the Arcade 1-Up, let's just say a Street Fighter barcade or Galaga or Pac-Man, and the iiRcade, I think a lot of folks are going to say, well, I have this great loyalty to Arcade 1-Up, so I'm going to purchase their product, and I'm sure it's going to be a great product. But then the iiRcade people are going to be like, well, wait a minute, that's our market, that's our space. So it definitely seems like Arcade 1-Up wants to become the dominant force in your game room when it comes to decor, your arcade machines, your cocktail tables, your pinball machines, which is going to be competing with Toy Shock, your dongles, your micro and your mini consoles, and also too they got some great cabinets coming out that we saw at CES, and they're going to even revamp their older cabinets. And I know there's going to be folks out there who say, man, I spent $300 on this Pac-Man, but look at the Pac-Man that's just coming out. I guess what we're going to have to tell ourselves is, hey, this is the way the world of electronics work. You can't get mad at the iPhone 10 when you own an iPhone 6, and, you should be like, man, I can't wait to upgrade to that iPhone 10, and I think that's what Arcade 1-Up is going to have us do. We can't wait to upgrade our Pac-Man machines, our Street Fighter machines, and things of that nature. So this is definitely, I think, a good move by Arcade 1-Up. But I do feel some folks might not be happy about it, but not everybody. I think a lot of folks are going to get it. that companies will improve their products over time and re-release them. But there will be a percentage of the community who will say, I can't believe it, I bought this thing for $300 and now this other one came out for $400 and it's way better. So we might see that, hopefully in a minute amount. So the question you guys got to ask yourselves is, are the arcade wars real or not? I know I did it just as a funny hype thing, but it definitely seems like Arcade 1UP wants to take control of the market, whether it's a mini handheld system or a dongle all the way up to a 3/4 scale arcade machine. Wouldn't be surprised if down the road, maybe in a year or two, who knows when, we might see Arcade 1UP actually release a full-size arcade machine. Although, honestly, I prefer 3/4 scale. Again, disclaimer, I have no verification of that. It's just something I'm like, well, what else can they do since they're getting into all other aspects of the market? Excuse me. Either way, guys, 2020 is going to be awesome for all of us as consumers, as retro arcade game players, and I think you guys are going to be pretty, by the end of the year, when we have all these shiny new toys beeping and booping inside of our arcade loft, especially that especially that Star Wars pinball machine. I think we're all going to be super, super excited because, hey, it's a freaking Star Wars pinball machine. Anyway, guys, want to keep this around 35 minutes. I think we've hit our time. Hope you guys have a wonderful drive into work today. Make sure you check out the Loft Report Podcast. It is on all of your favorite podcast listening platforms. We are your number 2 source for arcade news. And also make sure you check out PDubs Arcade Loft on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I got about 3 or 4 videos that'll be dropping this week and this weekend. Some good stuff you don't want to miss. I hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic day. Enjoy your Wednesday. It is hump day. Woo! We're halfway there, guys. That's right. We are halfway there. And the weekend will be here before you know it. And let us know if you have any questions or concerns. We definitely will help you get the answers you need when it comes to arcade products. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'm out!